All right. I believe by the time you're hearing this, I think it's early in the morning. I hope so. I hope so. Now, what's the new word in the street is Mike the Rancher. The first one to reply, and he is game to come on here and talk. And I'm absolutely stoked about that one. I believe that man and I are probably more than likely cut from the same loaf. And I believe we will have a lot to talk about when it comes to what's gone on around his place, what he experienced, what he learned, and as well as hunting too. He's a fellow guide, I believe, outfitter in Colorado. And he has had a lot go down with these forest people. And we'll see what he's learned, what he thinks these people beings may are, maybe are, what they are. And that's good news. Now, what else? Yesterday's video. The video, me questioning why people are scared. Whoops, this table's really vibrates and bonks. I'm gonna have to figure out a way to solve things up. But anyway, yeah, I am a person that has video of a Sasquatch in my possession. Didn't take it. And am I scared? I'm not scared of shit. The only reason I am not sharing it because I have respect for the person who obtained it. And I'm not the one to decide whether or not they are possibly going to go to jail for airing it. End of story. It's not too hard to understand that, right? So I did touch into the source. I touched in with the source earlier this year, and they said, nope, he's still employed there. So it's a no-go so far. Oh, I'm sure it'll be released. And when it does, I don't think it'll be me. Who knows? I don't know. But I'm telling you what, for anybody out there who's impatient or thinks that somebody should go against their word and disrespect somebody that trusted you anyway, ooh, you can't get much more of a loser quality than that in life, right? If your word means nothing, you're nothing. You're absolutely nothing. And believe me, I have no problems respecting every single person that emails me here. No problem at all. It's too easy. All right, so before anybody jumps to the conclusion or blows a gasket, well, you share the video. Well, you know why. All right? If I recorded the video, you would have had it a long time ago. Anyway, so there's that. What else? I don't know, these suckers, everything's going fast that Sarah had made up with the new How to Hunt patch on them. They are going fast. I don't know what's left in there. These orange one here, I haven't worn it yet. I have a feeling this is going to be my lucky beanie. We'll see. I'm going to wear the steelhead fishing the first time I go, and we'll see how I make out. What else? Man, I've been having to... I have to learn again. All I've been doing my whole life is teach myself so much shit. It's so time-consuming, but I bought this new camera package. And it came with a selfie stick, and I'm like, I'm cranking on it. It's got a little grip here. I'm just cranking on it, trying to get this damn thing opened up, you know. I'm like, how come I can't get this open? And I was going to put it in the vise and put vice grips on here and crank the top. Thank God I did. Typical man, right? And then I had to go on YouTube and see how it worked. Oh, you just pull it apart. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh. I don't know what the dog's snorting about out there. Hold on a minute. There we go. I probably had a whole bunch more I was going to mention, as usual. Brain goes blank. But anyway. We got more voices to hear, and you know what? The more we talk, the more consistent. Well, this place is about as consistent as it can be, I believe. I think I make it here every single frickin' day, just pumping it out. Pumping out the truth, pump it out. Keep the people's voices being heard. You just keep doing it. That's all I gotta do. Obviously. And it gives more people confidence to share what they know. Right? Now, what do we have? We got some recents here, I believe. Did I read this already? All right, this is titled. It's titled Red Now. This email is titled, "It Looked Me Right in the Eyes." Hey, Steve, I want to share this encounter I had that was super creepy. It literally got goosebumps looking at this picture I found. The eyes and what I saw looked a lot like the picture I'm attaching. So that morning started pretty simple. I woke up, put some pants and shoes on, then hopped in my truck. I needed to get something from my buddy we'll call Fluff up the road. Mind you, this is in Southwest. Okay, we read this. I got it. So, wait a minute. Well, I read this, but did I? Oh, shit. Okay, so I read this, but this must be a second version. Damn it. This is the one with the Sasquatch that was crawling with its head fully up and erect, faster than a man could run. All right. Give me 1 second, you guys. So after 30 seconds, I put my truck in gear and pulled forward to get a look. Right? Remember, went past the woodpile, didn't see shit. I then proceeded to drive on out of there. I got to the stop sign, checked real quick, pretty much rolled it, then floored it, and sped my way back home as fast as I could. I did not want it to be able to follow me back to the house. I grabbed a change of clothes and took off to my girlfriend's house. Now, here's the additional piece to his email. The picture I attached is the Minnesota Iceman. Just found that for the first time. When I noticed those eyes in the picture, the hair on my neck stood up. I'm just curious, has anyone else ever looked one in the eyes during the day? Because I'm not sure if I saw a hairy demon man or a Sasquatch that day. My previous encounters consist of crazy shit in the woods and seeing a black bipedal creature running under a porch 4 feet tall in the dark. Thank you so much, Steve, and anyone on the How Done channel. Because of you guys, I have a pretty damn good idea what these things are. Much respect, okay? And then he included a picture of the Minnesota Iceman. I think there's even some more clear versions of that photo, aren't they? Isn't there? Trying to get the right angle on my phone so it doesn't reflect. Oh, there we go. How's that? I believe that Minnesota Iceman, the original, I don't know if there was a duplicate made that was fake or what, but I believe the original, you can see its eye was blasted out from a gunshot or something too. I believe, and I wonder where that sucker ended up. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Stay in touch with us, man. All right? My hands are still covered in crap. I was doing my breaks before I did this video. Oh, well, whatever. Man world, right? Okay, moving along. Carrying on. Lack of knowledge on Sabe is the title of this email. Hi, Steve. My story is not that dramatic as most, but I would still like to share it. At the time of the encounter, all the information on Sabe was not available, so I had no idea what the encounter was about at the time. It took 45 years in your channel to take me back to understand what happened. I've been an avid hunter since 4 years old, with my dad carrying me on his shoulders hunting. I spent 20 years hunting bear, mule deer, and elk in Colorado and Idaho's wildernesses. Solo backpacking trips for weeks at a time. I don't remember or recognize any other signs of another encounter. Anyway, on to my encounter. I was 15 years old, living in northwest Louisiana next to Barksdale Air Force Base. You have read 3 other encounters close to this base. One morning, me and the dog were out hunting squirrels when I noticed all of a sudden my dog tucked her tail and hauled ass. I figured she'd seen a deer and was chasing it. A few minutes later, I noticed something pacing me. I stepped, it stepped, I stopped, it stopped. Steve, I could see 100 yards in any direction, and I see nothing. Even though it couldn't have been more than 30 yards from me. It was like it was invisible. I knew nothing about cloaking. The woods was totally silent, and you could have heard a pen drop 100 yards away. I felt dread and very scared. This went on for maybe 5 minutes until I couldn't stand it no more. I ran as fast as I could back home, never seeing anything. The dog was under the carport. It pisses me off that I was not educated on Sabe all these years until I found your channel and connected the dots. Steve, thank you so much for bringing us together for the educational experiences. You could use my full name, Doug Branch. P.S. If you ever drive through Shreveport, Louisiana, I'd be happy to buy your next meal that day. I just might take you up on that, man. And I'll make sure I'm real hungry. Kid. But you never know, I might be. Appreciate that. I'm glad you found the channel too, my man. I am glad. And it pisses me off that nobody has had the previous information either. But we're getting it out there, right? We're getting it out there. And that reminds me, last night I was flicking through the channels last night. And I saw a clip from, it was a crazy ass clip. It was a native girl hiding under a log jam in a river, and a grizzly bear, obviously made is a movie. A grizzly bear fighting the predator, a cloaked predator. It was an amazing scene. And I don't really watch too many movies and shit. I'm like, holy shit, I'm gonna watch that movie. I didn't even know it existed, but apparently it came out 2022 called The Prey. I'm gonna watch that. Just to freak me out. Anyway. Yeah. 110% these beings can make themselves invisible. How? I don't know. Got some ideas, but I'm not the one to dictate how, that's for sure. Voices in the Bush is the title of this next email. Hello, Steve. My name is Andrew, currently living in the city of Brisbane, Queensland, Australia. You already know. Brisbane, Queensland, okay. You already know the value of your channel and getting people heard, so I won't waste your time on that. And growing up in the suburbs of North Brisbane and being born in the mid-60s has been an adventure/nightmare all on its own. Going through the education system with a learning disability which was originally diagnosed as dyslexia. Well, that was just shit. And given that little was known about such things, I was labeled as being dumb and lazy. That's unfortunate, isn't it? I've recently learned through my own researching this diagnosis was wrong, and that I am now level autistic. As time moved on, I grew to enjoy exploring the bush, following creeks as far as we could, and by some miracle, never got bitten by a snake or any other critters. Like your favorite, the spider. We have some monsters over here that would give you nightmares, like the huntsman. Biggest I've seen was 7 to 8 inches in width. They're mostly harmless. The most dangerous is the Sydney funnel web spider. Yeah, no thanks. Throughout the years, these adventures evolved, many of them being with a good friend of mine and the only person who I could trust when we went out exploring. Rock climbing became another aspect of our adventures, which was strange given my fear of heights. But when you're with someone you can trust, the fear goes away. There were others that came with me on some trips, and this is where I learnt that you have to be careful who you travel with out there, and these people were next to useless in the wild. So for all these adventures, I was completely ignorant of our version of Bigfoot, the Yowie. And that all changed after reading the late Rex Gilroy's book, Mysterious Australia. Shit. Not that this stopped me from going into the wild places, far from it. On most trips, I usually carried a knife, 2-edged blades being my preferred, with a 5-inch blade. Guns were off the table. The Port Arthur massacre in Tasmania in 1996 was the catalyst for the disarming of Australia. One of many con jobs our F-tard government has implemented, which is exactly why I enjoy your rants. However, I'll leave off on starting my own, or this will turn into a full-length novel. The first stage of knowing happened nearly 30 years ago. On my quest for new places to explore, I discovered Numinbah Valley, which is near the Queensland/New South Wales border, and from there this became a favorite for many years. From the road it's about an hour walk to the woods. Then there is a choice of direction. You can go left or right, and the first time I chose right. As soon as I entered, it was like entering another world. and that I was being watched, but not in a threatening way, more as a casual observance. All at once I understood this place demands absolute respect. On my next trip, I started at a different point, and this involved a creek crossing and moving up through tall grass. Halfway up, I came to a single tree that had bare ground under it, and there I found the footprint. A bare footprint. Seeing this quite fresh footprint made my breath catch at the reality of what I was seeing. Length 16 inches and width of 6 or 7 inches. Depth of print about 1 inch. Second event came a few years later on a solo trip. And at the start, there is a rough path, and then it's no trails. From this point, the rainforest got thicker, and on my left, there's a cliff wall about 20 feet high. As I kept walking, I hear some small rocks come from above. No problem. I keep walking, and then it happens again. Looking up now, and see nothing. Probably some local dead animal, and as I move on, it happens 2 more times, and at this point, I think, you've got to be effing kidding me. This is beginning to look like a B-grade movie scene. I take a few more steps, and then there is the voices. Okay. 2 someones talking in a foreign language. Something like a mix of Dutch and German. At this point, I'm more curious than afraid as I take all of this in, and then there is the depth of these voices. A deeper bass than any human could produce. By the sound of it, this is a conversation as the tone is not threatening, and then the final connection is made. First thoughts, don't run. Second thoughts, walk away calmly. Third thoughts scream in my head, they're effing real. I've not been back since. Not so much from fear, but that I had no way to make sense of it. Then sometime later I became a horse owner and the world moved on. And for the next 28 years I neither had the time or money to return. Back then there was no internet or mobile phones. It was only a year ago that I heard a recording of their vocalizations and the memory returned. 2 years ago my mental health took a dive and no one could tell me why. I was on medication for a while and that probably effed me up more. And I stopped taking it and went to working 3 days a week with partial benefits. Then I had to have my horse put down, 28 years old, diagnosed with a severe heart murmur. All I do was be there with him right up to the end, and a large part of me died with him. Oh, that sucks. I can relate. I've gone through a number of Bigfoot channels, and it makes me laugh at the amount of money they spend on and what they believe will bring out the truth, and then watch a couple of guys from Alabama who are using their mobile phones to film them, get better footage. In all honesty, I would rather hear the people's experiences on your channel than all these other ass muppets. Ass muppet. Lastly, I'm planning to return to Newmanbaugh Valley this year, probably around June/July when it's cooler, and see what I see. Being as I'm sliding towards 60 years old, I want to go back. Maybe the people of the forest can help me, as I've heard stories of them healing people, and at the least be back in the bush. I considered your question/rant about why next to no world leaders want peace. There's no profit in peace. Years ago, I used to read a magazine called Military Technology, which was a trade magazine, and I was stunned at the number of well-known companies who hold military contracts. Not just weapons or munitions. Everything from boots, catering, clothing, communications, and all the other items that an army needs to function. A big chunk of this industrial military complex is based in Europe. Sadly, it is war that keeps them running. The pharmacological industry runs on the same premise. There's no profit in a cure. After watching that documentary, Died Suddenly, there are no surprises. The psychiatric medication merry-go-round is another example of how these foul shits work. But as we know, the deaf, dumb, and blind kid sure plays a mean pinball. All the best, Andrew. All the best to you, Andrew. I'm sorry you had to go through all that dog shit with the Western medicine and diagnosis being wrong. Imagine how many people that's happened to. And just so you guys know, we take ivermectin here, and I've never felt better. Instantly cleared up anything we had. Bam, just like that. And one quick note on that. I was thinking earlier, quick thought, not a rant, but I was thinking, and I want you guys to think about this one. The money they take from us, they've successfully been taking from us, and I'm at the point right now, I don't even have a clue why I give it to them, and I'm thinking I'm not going to. Whether it puts me in jail or not, I'm thinking, I'm not giving you guys my effing money anymore, you thieving criminal sons of bitches. Go F yourselves, right? Food. I went and got some groceries yesterday. I just went and got 2 loaves of sourdough, a jug of milk. What else did I get? A little thing of those pre-cooked chicken wings in the heated trough at the grocery store for me and Ruby to share 1 for 1 in the truck for 5 minutes of parking lot. And then I bought some of those instant coffees that come in a little package. 8 of them. 8 packages of my little instant coffees that I use. I've always used them backpacking and fishing, so I just use them at home now. And Sarah has her own flavor that she likes to drink. Anyway, so that was it. So 8 packs of instant coffees, 2 loaves of sourdough, 1 jug of milk, and a little thing with maybe 12 chicken wings cooked in it. Okay? Guess how much? It was $144. And no, I'm not kidding you. Even the woman, the lady at the till, running the till, she goes, "Is that right?" I'm like, "You tell me." She goes, "Oh, no, the coffees went up. They said they're going up." Anyway, it's too expensive for a lot of people to even think about surviving today, right? Excuse me, especially in Canada, North America, around the world. And at the end of this month, no, April 1st, our government is implementing a 20% tax hike on fuel. What? It doesn't make sense at all. But what I'm getting at, my question is, do you think, possibly, once you get to the position of being a leader in the country, and then you're putting that, you and your team are put in charge of creating more tax money to take from the people, I'm almost wondering right now, is there a possibility that all of these dark sons of bitches who keep taking more and more money, they're making it too expensive to survive, basically, or have much of a life for the majority of the population, and there's no way they don't see that. But I wonder if there's some other entity that is existing that pressures all of these people up nonstop to get more money. Get it? There's got to be. I mean, there can't be any other reason, don't you think? It's just too bizarre that all of these so-called governments avidly take and take more and take more and take more from all the innocent people's lives. To the point they must be intimidated and threatened, like to the max. If they don't do this to us, then something real bad's going to happen. Don't you think? That's my question. That's what I'm really starting to wonder. Anyway, moving along. Yeah, I know it's a shit show in Australia too. Shit show. And I'm really sad and sorry it is. It frustrates the living shit out of me. But it just comes to a point. All we got to do is say no together. I'm down. I think I'm in that position now, actually. I'm just going to say no. I don't give a shit anymore. It's just getting a little too out of hand. But anyway. Steve, I'd really appreciate your opinion on my theory. It'd mean a lot. I work on it every day. It's the one conspiracy/hidden truth I feel I can solve and have a positive impact. I love what you do. Just a quick thought, too. I'm not a religious thumper. But if Jesus Christ was made up or fake, then why, when you use his name during poltergeist activity, Bigfoot, aliens, etc., it either makes them go away or makes the situation much, much worse. Either or makes you think, right? And then here's this original email. There's 2 emails in one folder here. Steve Hay, longtime listener, longtime student of researching, boots on the ground, looking, interviewing, and loving of all things unknown. So here's my big toe theory of everything. The ether is everything, combined with our consciousness and frequency, and many spiritual and metaphysical traditions. Aether, A-E-T-H-E-R, ether, is often conceptualized as a subtle, unseen energy field that acts as a kind of a thin veil, separating our physical dimension from other realms or dimensions, allowing for a potential connection between them. Essentially, it's considered a bridge between our reality and the next. Where we first go when we die, the Aether. Aether? A-E-T-H-E-R. Where did we first go when we die? The Aether. Out-of-body experience, the Aether. Where we draw unlimited energy from, the Aether. Akashic record located, the Aether. How we can travel and bend space-time and distance, the Aether. How does Bigfoot slip in and out, the Aether, and so on and so forth. But the Aether is accessible only by our consciousness. Well, what else has been buzzing around, especially lately? These plasma-covered drones, or orbs of plasma. Plasma orbs maneuvering through the forest. What if the plasma is used/needed to cover technology or craft or beings in order to physically access this realm? No longer limited to just out-of-body or consciousness. Now with a plasma covering, we can take craft or grant beings access to this limitless place. Okay, so now that that is out of the way, the Bigfoot can gain access to this realm. Be raising their vibration. They can enter the ether and just disappear completely. There's no time there, so I can see how a proto-human could live until today. But that's not even close to the end. Numerous reports tell of blue or other colored balls of light or plasma appear in the forest exactly where the Bigfoot was seen. They even act like mischievous Bigfoot when appearing as these balls of energy. That is their etheric form. So I believe there are several different kinds of Bigfoot, or have been throughout history. I'm not talking different like how we view the Sasquatch, the skunk ape, the gugway, the grassman, etc. That's all one. But different as how it evolved. I believe there is a type of Bigfoot, much less hair or hairless, that are in the possession of the extremely advanced technology. They probably look different than what we picture. Probably not too dissimilar from us. It's these beings, the advanced Bigfoot, that are the ultra-terrestrials we see flying several different UFOs who have bases inside different mountains under the ocean and underground. But those are so they can interact and work with us. They also live in the Aether. This is why they are timeless and how they obtain their incredible technology. Bigfoot are the original Earthlings. They are masters of their habitat, where we are masters of none. So that leads me to believe that we got our start somewhere else. It's my belief we are descendants of giants, beings who came from Mars. I believe Mars to be Nibiru, the planet of the Anunnaki. Well, they couldn't fix their home, so they came here. They then took the most intelligent and physically imposing hominid here on Earth and used them to create us by crossing their own DNA with these proto-Bigfoots. Why we are so similar, but also why they are so hesitant to interact with us. They remember how they were taken and manipulated to make us. Then we went back and forth on ebb and flow throughout history, which leads us to today. One day we will know more through perseverance and our awakening as species and how we recognize the true power of consciousness. I hope I'm right. Maybe I'm close. I don't know. We'll see. There you go. There's a lot to chew on there. What's my opinion? God, asking me for an opinion, that's like, who am I? Who am I? I know, we've all heard it. The truth is crazier than not, right? Obviously. You gotta admit, being alive is absolutely outrageous. It's such a crazy, amazing, unbelievable experience being alive. Don't you think by now? It's so freaking bizarre. It's so bizarre. I don't even know where to begin to reply to that for myself. It's my own ride. Because I wonder about so much daily, by the hour, by the minute. I wonder about so much all the time. It can almost drive a person kind of bonkers. But I guess we are kind of bonkers, aren't we? Just being human makes us bonkers. Let me read on a little more, all right? I'm going to sit here in thought for quite some time. Just give me a second. You know, there's all sorts of theories on the Anunnaki, Mars, aliens came here, created us. But they have proven that the DNA, our DNA, has been intentionally changed and messed with, right? I believe that to be absolutely true, without a doubt. I don't know. I don't know if that's what's really going down or not. To be honest, I haven't a clue. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. What sure would be nice, though, is if one of these people in the forest sat down and just blurted out what they believe to be their true history. I don't know. Is there any group of humans anywhere whose history hasn't been eliminated intentionally? You know what I mean? We are a species living with amnesia. Without a doubt, right? Without a doubt. Okay, let me keep reading here. Let me keep reading. I'm going to confuse the shit out of myself, and then I'm going to confuse you guys even more. All right. This is an email I came across yesterday. And it even says it's a 33-minute read. Puzzling pieces connected, question mark, a 33-minute read. Here we go. Excuse me. Good day, Steve. Yep, and use my name, no problem. I'm 50 this year, and I've had a full life, to say the least. Blessed, grateful every day I wake up. Crispin here from Australia, East Coast, Tweed River Shire area. Firstly, thank you and the How to Hunt World team for amazing life-sharing experiences, connecting puzzle pieces. I've never had an urge to ever connect with anyone I've never met. Since listening to you read personal stories for the past 3 weeks, everyone has really lightened something deep within me to actually sit down and write out some of my personal and family experiences. That is frickin' good news. I've spent 7 hours and 22 minutes compiling the below stories the past 2 days. Same with evidential backup stories, maps, and images. Holy shit. I've tried to spell check and grammar this as best I could so it's easier to read. Heads up, I've just proofread it, and it took me 33 minutes to read without showing images, maps, or opening links. Each of these experiences I will title separately, which will be in order of a chronological timeline in my life. The first event/story puzzle piece will possibly tie in with the final piece. Wow, this is going to be incredible. Puzzle piece number 1. Ouija board. I do not ever recommend touching one of these boards. Did it once, haven't since. I was in year 10 high school, 16 years of age, and started chattering to a sweet girl who seemed to take a liking to me. We chatted a bit one day in class and found out we were both latchkey kids. Parents not home until 6-7 p.m. at night from work, so we were home alone Monday to Friday. I found the ocean and spent all my spare time at the beach riding waves and any surf craft I could find from pre-dawn to after dusk. She spent the time on a Ouija board. That night I asked my dad what a Ouija board was, and his reaction still is stuck with me to this day. My dad is a fun, open, warm-hearted human, so when his voice and demeanor is serious, it means something. He instantly looked me in the eyes and asked, "Why?" with no emotion on his face. I said a girl at school mentioned it. He said sternly, "Don't ever touch one of those." He then went on to tell me why, and below is my dad's experience. Before you and your brother were born, your mom and I had just got married and were having a few friends over for dinner at our new home in Edgecliff. We had 3 couples over that night, all who were teenage friends of ours from school or the beach. They all married later. We were at the kitchen/dining room table playing a Ouija board, where we all had fingers on the piece and each of us asking questions. A couple of us took our fingers off as we thought it was a joke, and the piece was being moved by one of us or each other to spell something out. Only 3 of us still had fingers on this piece in the end. When we started asking who was actually moving the piece, no one was watching or taking down the letters of the alphabet to know what name was being spelled out. And all of a sudden, we all heard footsteps running up to the back fence. Something hitting the back fence as if trying to climb over it, landing in a splash of a puddle in a back garden, then running up the backyard, up the stairs, banging through the back door, and running down the hall to the kitchen/dining. When everyone took the fingers off the piece to look down the hallway, the footsteps stopped and nothing was there. We all went down the hall, checking the 2 rooms on either side, then continued out the back into the yard. There was no puddle or water anywhere. Everyone was a bit freaked out that night after that. All I can say is that every one of the couples that were there that night ended up divorcing later, as your mother and I had 6 years later. I asked my mom if she knew what a Ouija board was the very next weekend. My brother and I visited her. My mom's a very empathic, kind, and gentle-hearted person, so when her reaction was exactly like my dad's, and she told pretty much the same story word for word, it freaked me out. Suffice to say, I've never touched one. Puzzle piece number 2, large yellow eyes moving side to side. Age 7 or 8. Living with my older brother, 2 younger half-brothers, my mom and stepfather in the Blue Mountains, 1.5 hours west of Sydney. We lived in Leura and then Katoomba towns for about 4 years. Mom bought 10 acres of bushland in Bilpin towards the end of Mountain Lagoon Road, 1 hour's drive across the mountain ridge from Katoomba, where we would go every second weekend to camp and help clear the underbrush by hand. One night, we were sitting around a campfire in a semicircle, and I was sitting on a burnt-out log furthest to the left of everyone. And for some reason, I look over my left shoulder, and I see 2 large yellow eyes with big, round, black pupils swaying side to side slowly, the body just out of the firelight at the end of the log. Next, everything happened within a split second. The big yellow eyes blinked as they made contact with mine. My mouth opened, and I went to look towards my stepfather to say something, and as I was doing this, there was a crack from the charcoal breaking on the burnt log I was sitting on at the end where the eyes were. What? Let me read that again. Sorry. As I was doing this, there was a crack from the charcoal breaking on the burnt log I was sitting on at the end where the eyes were. Our bull terrier named Kita, classic-looking white dog with black fur patch around the left eye, heard the crack and set off after the eyes in a flash into the darkness, running full bolt, barking. My stepfather grabbing the .22 rifle and torch, running after into the dense scrub into pitch black. To be honest, we weren't sure if we heard the scrub parting or getting pushed aside before the dog ran through it. But the dog ended up stopping and barking over 100 meters away. My stepfather and Kita returned several minutes later with nothing. Stepfather said it was probably an owl. My thoughts are mixed. I'm surprised an owl in the wild would be sitting down so close to humans. Fire and a dog. I could only see eyes. No body, no feathers, no face, nothing, just large eyes. And here's a screenshot of Australia's largest owl in the Blue Mountains called Powerful Owl. All right, I'll just do it this way. There's a picture of the owl that he included. That saves me a lot of time, believe it or not, you guys. Oops, gotta get back into the story here. Puzzle piece number 3. Growl, roar, scream, growl. Age 13 to 14, visiting mom, half-brothers, and stepfather in Bilpin. We rented a house just down the road while building the dam rock wall, clearing and preparing the property to build a house on. The rental house we lived in was opposite a peach orchard. which ran down the side of Mum's 10-acre land. We were walking back from the 10-acre land across the peach orchard, where we met the owner of the orchard to have a chat about possible fruit picking work next to school holidays. There's a slight incline down to where each of the properties meet. We have dams adjacent to each other. Our dam was covered by huge ancient trees, and the orchard's dam was out in the open. It was a beautiful, warm, clear, sunny late afternoon. We were all positioned looking down over the orchard's dam towards Mum's property, when a loud growl, roar, scream, growl, so loud it echoed, coming from between our properties in the bush, between the two dams. Everything went quiet. Everyone looked at each other with disbelieving faces frozen. Then the owner of the orchard said, "I better get home," as his house was actually positioned down closer at the back of the orchard, closer to where that noise came from. Here's a satellite view. Okay, I don't need to show the satellite view to the public. We don't need people running around your property, but I appreciate that. Puzzle piece number 4, Big Cat of the Blue Mountains. Next time we saw Mum, she said the orchard owner mentioned the tail of a panther of the Blue Mountains. Possible explanation of the roar/scream/growl, as my mum had mentioned to the orchard owner about our large yellow eye incident years earlier in the same area on her property. Puzzle piece number 5, All is Quiet. My older brother wanted to get over his fear from those experiences, so when he finally got his first car, he was 18, so I was 16, he drove out to Billpin for the day, armed with a machete, hiking backpack with the 90s band Yellow playing loud on his ghetto blaster, which he had tucked into the backpack. Speakers were detached and secured to each support bar on the top of his backpack, positioned each side of his head facing outwards to the left and the right. His plan was to walk to the end of the 10-acre property, something we had never done, as we had only cleared about 4 acres of underbrush by hand, and that's all the area we knew of the property. And this is my brother's story. There I was, following the fence line between the orchard and our property, probably a couple 100 meters further than we've ever been, and just over the little crest, when all of a sudden my music stopped playing on the tape deck. I took my backpack off to check the tape. Sorry, there's little hairs floating around in here. I took my backpack off to check the tape, batteries, and wiring. I couldn't hear anything. Just dead quiet, not a sound. Like I could hear a pin drop. I felt the whole bush was either waiting for something or watching me. Then a huge, like the biggest March fly, they can grow to 2.5 centimeters or half an inch. They have gray striped bodies and huge green eyes we've ever seen, landed on my forearm. I watched it slowly turn to look at me directly into my eyes. I freaked out, smacked the fly away, threw my backpack on, and ran back to the road as fast as possible. I'm never doing that again by myself. Below, the satellite image of Mum's property, edged in red, where my brother stopped, circled in blue. Okay, and there's a picture of the fly with the green eyes. I'll share that with everyone here now. There's the fly. That is some crazy ass. I think it's better on that side, isn't it? It's a little better. Crazy eyeballs in that sucker. Hold on. Lost my spot again. Here we go. Puzzle piece number 6, Large Red Eyes. Age 16, my brother and I were talking about all the weird things we had heard and seen with our younger half-brothers one weekend, and our youngest brother told us he saw something when he was passenger sitting behind stepfather on motorbike coming up the back road from Weenie Creek, Colo River, shortcut from Richmond to Billpin. He noticed something large and brown with red eyes behind a large burnt tree stump. Just watching them ride along the trail until they went around a bend. The stump was a little down the hillside, about 50 meters from the road. The brownish, reddish fur stood out from the dead gray-black stump. That's what caught his attention. Then he saw the eyes as they came around the corner more. It was like it was crouching, trying to hide, and was dead still except for the eyes following my brother's eyes. That'd be a little unnerving. Puzzle piece number 7. Orange, yellow orb. Sighting by whole beachfront diners and beachgoers. Age 16, 17, my older brother's story. My brother and his friend were sitting at a cafe/pizza place at Coleroy Beach, northern beaches of Sydney, and they witnessed a bright orange orb over 10 minutes, for over 10 minutes. Late afternoon over the water, on the ocean horizon. Enough time for one of my brother's friends to grab an old Sony VHS camcorder out and film the event. By the time he had it recorded, they walked across the main road onto the beach with other witnesses watching and pointing. I saw the footage later. When he zoomed in, it looked like an iridescent orange fruit being peeled. The orange lights were spiraling around a yellow orb underneath. He also captured the long reef headland in the foreground, so as to have a point of reference. He kept as steady as possible, no zoom, and the orb looked like it was coming closer, and then shooting farther away, then coming closer again. Or it was shrinking and expanding. It's very difficult to discern. Many years later, I searched for this event online, as some of the footage taken by my brother's friend was actually used on a nightly news program a couple of days later. After the event, nothing has come up except for another eyewitness account. This person went up to the long reef headland later on that night and filmed a huge orange orb with some high-tech camera and still shots. The link to the other witnesses' event, story and image below. All right, story. Okay, I got a link. I hope I don't forget to put the link in the description of the video, right? NB. I've added an image of the orb in the front of Avalon headed from the above added link below to give scale of size of the orb as headland. As you can see, the 100-foot tall Norfolk pine tree, the orb looks to be a quarter height of headland. The headland is a couple of 100 feet high. All right. Oh, I got you. So there's the orb. Over here, right? I'm guessing. Where's those? Got to get that reflection off of there. There we go. There. Right there. There's the orb. Nighttime. That's the incident. Okay? And here is headland. But it looks like there was lights on top of that headland thing, wasn't there? And that's the next photo included. Gotcha. Puzzle piece number 8. Satellite stops and makes a 90-degree turn and shoots into the stars. At age 16-17, living in Avalon Beach with my dad, where the above photo of the orb and the link provided on the northern beaches of Sydney, I'm putting my own laundry out on the clothesline in the back garden and looking up at the stars when picking up my school shirt. I noticed a satellite traveling slowly across the sky, so I decide to keep my eyes on it until it goes out of view. Several seconds later, it stops. My eyes go wide and try to stay focused on the satellite that stopped. It then shoots off in a 90-degree angle from its original path across the sky. I run down inside and ask my dad, "Does satellite stop and then turn 90 degrees angles, changing path?" My dad, cool and calmly, said, "Nope, I think you saw a UFO, son." And sure as shit, the next day in the news, there was footage and a report from the International Space Station following an orb in the haze of the Earth's atmosphere. It stopped and shot off into space at a right angle. Within a second, something came from Earth like a missile, shot through the area where the orb just was traveling. Link below for footage from the space station that was on the news. I'll put all these links in the comments in the description below, all right? Puzzle piece number 9, middle of the day. 2 times chrome spheres. Age 27-28, Manly Beach, waiting for a ferry to Sydney City with my girlfriend at the time. We lay in a park watching a couple of clouds drift by in the blue sky, and we were discussing animal shapes they were changing into when I saw a silver/chrome sphere race by my vision from my left to right. I have attached an image below of the area that I was laying. Bad stick figure drawn. As it sped by, as soon as it was directly above me, it veered off and sped up instantly above me to the right, as if it knew it was spotted, and hightailed it off, changing direction. I've drawn on the map image below in red of the trajectory. I let out a whoa and started pointing at the sky, explaining to my girlfriend laying next to my left, "Hey, did you see that silver ball going from left to right?" As I was tracing the direction of the sky, the sphere's direction, another one passed over. This one looked to have dimples on the surface, like a chrome golf ball. This time, as it passed directly over us, it made a crazy, tight zigzag maneuver 4 times and zipped off in the same direction as the ball before. I have this in red, drawn in red, the trajectory of the second ball in the image below. My girlfriend next to me let out a, "Whoa, shit, I saw that." To this day, it's still clear in my mind what I saw. Whenever I see silver balls/orbs/spheres filmed and posted on YouTube, which look exactly what I saw, it gives me a bit of sanity. Below is a screenshot and a link of the video posted from someone else who filmed a silver chrome sphere whilst riding the ferry on Sydney Harbour from Manly. No shit. And I seen something almost exactly like that too. Me and my buddy were way up north, laying on top of this mountain, full Blue Bomber day, and I saw what looked to be pewter colored. Same shape, just like that. And it was just suspended in the blue sky. And I couldn't tell how far away it was because I don't know how big it was, but we just watched it. We kept an eye on it, and it was there for a long time, and it just disappeared. Boom, gone. And there's another shot of it. Hold on. There we go. There's another shot of it there. I think a lot of people have seen something like that. Right? Puzzle piece number 10, monsters. Stepfather, possible Ouija linked. There were a couple of stories shared by your own personal experiences and the How to Hunt team regarding the infamous stepfather monster. Yeah, they're just called step monsters. We had one. He was an absolute psychological and physical, smacking an arse with running shoe menace to my older brother and I for 7 years. From when I was aged 3 to 10. I won't go into details. Anywho, my older brother told my mom when he was 11 that he was going to put a bullet in the head of stepfather when we were out on a quarry shooting targets with stepfather's .22 rifle. My brother said the only thing that stopped him was this thought, quote, "How's Mum going to look after us and our 2 younger half-brothers once he's gone?" End quote. My mother was a full-time mum and had no income job at the time, and this event scared my mother and let my dad take custody of my brother and I soon after. 6 years earlier than the court had ordered. My brother and I lived with that monster for 7 years. We joke it was 7 years of bad luck, as my brother had broken a large mirror when he was almost 2 years old. The cut from the glass shards had left a huge scar on his left cheek, from lip to ear. Whoa. 2 centimeters lower and it would have severed his neck artery. My stepfather started picking on my mother after my brother and I left. Mom said one night she was lying in bed looking at the ceiling and she saw a dark, evil-looking face in the top right corner of the room, positioned over our stepfather. In your YouTube post 1 year ago titled, "First Nation Elder Sends in Sasquatch Photos. Also 30 years of research drops some facts." End quote. At 42:43 minutes timestamp, one of your How to Hunt members described a similar presence. My mom wasn't sure what she was seeing, if it was just shadows, so she asked my stepfather if he noticed the face, and he answered, "Oh, that's always there looking over us." My mom said she's never been so scared in her life, which is a huge statement, as her and her sisters and brothers had an extremely aggressive and physically abusive drunk father, my grandpop. Mom said she stayed awake the whole night and prayed for help. She had never prayed in her life. And sure as anything, guess who knocked on the door the very next day? Jehovah's Witness. Mom took that as a sign, and she is still a Jehovah's Witness today. If it weren't for them, she would not be as strong and sane as she is today. Side note, my stepfather is one of my parents' best friends that experienced the Ouija board night described in the first story above with his girlfriend at the time, who later became his wife, who later left him, escaping at night through a side window. She passed by my parents' house whilst running away to say she was leaving him, and that my stepfather-to-be was evil, and he was different when they were alone. It will always be a mystery to me why my mom left my dad for one of their best friends, even though they were warned he was not what he seems. Maybe, just maybe, the thing that entered from the Ouija board attached itself to my stepfather? To round this all off, the girl in the beginning story who mentioned her Ouija board experience told me later that it had taken her 45 minutes to ask one of the spirits to leave, as you should never take/break the touch of the piece on the board, as it will keep them in our realm. She said it was persistent, but finally left. And years later, she married a teacher who was teaching at another school while this girl and I were students, and he was a douchebag, as I knew him from surfing at Avalon Beach at the time. Anyhow, the day of their wedding ceremony, the teacher woke up with vitiligo. Vitiligo? A rare skin disorder that causes blotchy skin discoloring and pigmentation all over his face. I've always wondered if the girl released a protective or troublemaking spirit that did this to the teacher as a sign of screw you, she's mine. As he was not a nice person, and for some reason I smiled inside at this unfortunate outcome. My own thoughts and ramblings. With the amazing communication levels we have today, my mother and I theorized from a verse in the Bible that, Matthew 24, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." 7. "For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences." Is actually describing how we're all much more connected today than ever before, instantly. There have always been wars, earthquakes, etc. It just seems to be increasing and more prevalent now, only because we have the ability to know what is happening on the other side of the world in an instant. Your comment on reality TV couldn't be truer. The first episode of Big Brother aired on Australian TV in 2001. I literally unplugged my TV and walked it out onto the front footpath with a sign, "Free," that night. Good for you. Haven't owned a TV connected to an aerial since. With that spare time, I was able to work full-time and study to gain a bachelor degree in human resource management at the mature age of 35, something I vowed I'd never do. I've since left that industry, just as the woke virus began, now living close to the beach, mountains, and toiling my own edible garden every spare moment keeps me grounded from the crazy digital world of today. While I'm in the garden, I listen to various YouTube channels and podcasts, and know you and your How to Hunt community. I wonder what the How to Hunt community thoughts are on their Ouija board experiences, if any, possible connections to orbs, and the things that go bump in the woods at night. I was listening to a series on the Wartime Stories YouTube channel, and they read out an ex-serviceman's experiences with the Ouija and other odd things, which seemed to be very similar to the How to Hunt experiences. I also listened to Missing 411. He seems real, honest, and down to earth, such as yourself. All events seem to have a weird connection. Sorry for such a long email. As soon as I started writing the 3 I had in my mind, more came back to me as I wrote and listened to your channel. Anywho, thanks for the time as always. Warm regards, Crispin. That's a different name, Crispin. I've never met a Crispin. And appreciate the time you just donated to the channel, man. Ouija board did it one time. I think it was 20 or 9. No, it would have been 19. 18 or 19. I was with 3 other people in Souk, BC. And there's 3 of us with our fingers on that little plastic thing on the table. Me and 2 girls. They didn't know how many sisters I had. They didn't know the name of any of my relations. Nothing. Norwegian names, okay? Not common in North America. And they started chanting this shit. And then all of a sudden they started asking questions, and I'm gently just keeping your fingers gently on that little plastic tray. Thing starts moving. And I'm looking at both the girls on your side of me. Like, okay, who's messing around, right? And then I asked her, how many sisters do I got? Went straight to the number 3. How do you spell my dad's name? And then I went like this. Whoa. I'm out. No thanks. And that was it. That was it for me. Done. Get it away from me. I'm not into this shit. Alarm bells went off. And that's all I know firsthand. But I'm sure a lot of you will comment in the comment section below of what you know about those damn boards. Who makes them anyway? Where'd they originate? How'd somebody come up with that shit? You know what I mean? Shouldn't all those things be just incinerated instantly? For real? And then the step monster thing. Well. I can relate to what your brother wanted to do for sure. I remember, all I remember is being in my older sister's bedroom when we were kids and telling her flat out, mark my words, one day I'm going to get bigger. I'm going to get stronger. And that man's going to pay. It's almost like I knew. I did know. There wasn't a question in my mind since I was a boy, all through up till adulthood, that was going to go down. I knew it was. Crazy, right? I knew a lot, though. And I'll say this one more time. You know, when we all have come across evil in this lifetime, when evil's real. And I knew someone, unfortunately knew someone who killed people for money. I'll tell you what, when that person showed up anywhere as a little entourage of people, it wouldn't matter if somebody in the crowd knew them or not. A dark, dark, ominous energy came with them everywhere they went. It was really gross. Ugh, you know? It was really gross. And then I remember when I was a kid, came home from playing street hockey. My mom was innocent, very beautiful woman, very inexperienced in life. And after my parents split up, I came home, my hockey stick, and I'm coming up my front porch stairs in the dark. It was wintertime, playing hockey up behind in the lacrosse box we had a block away. Came home and I was supposed to come home, and I guess he had come and visited my mom, whatever she was doing, dating, I guess. She didn't tell us too much in life about her personal shit. And then, I'll never forget it. Innocent kid. I didn't know any evil then. I never met an evil person ever. And I'm coming up those stairs, and here's this dude on the top of the stairs talking to my mom, I guess saying see ya. And when I walked by that man, every single hair on my body stood on end. It was like I was standing beside the devil himself. And I will never forget that 5-10 seconds of my lifetime. It's still today. It's just as vivid as when that being was on that rock watching me. Everything changed. Energy changed. Everything changed. If I'd have known then, if I was taught about your sixth sense as a young boy, which I seriously believe all children should be taught about their hair turning to wire and what causes it, and their gut instincts, their feelings, and to listen to them at all costs. I mean, if I had children right now, I think as soon as they could speak, I would be pumping that into them nonstop. What do you feel? What's your gut telling you? About anything and everything, right? Just trying to figure out how to enhance it. But if I'd have known then, I would have fought. I would have fought like the house was about to be on fire. I would have fought to make sure that that person didn't come into our lives. I would have fought to the death at that young age if I'd have known then what was coming. There's a bit of a ramble, right? Whew, holy. All right, let's snap out of this. All right, anyway, appreciate that email, my man. I hope your government and quality of life gets better down there sooner than later, and everybody just stands up and says, no more. No more. I'm not giving you a dime. I'm not doing what you say. Ramming up your asses. I'm down. I think I'm at that. I think I'm there. I think I'm there, actually. I think I'm actually there. I'm done. I'm done with you corrupt criminals. Done. Anyway, share my story at howtohunt.com. Get me your truth, all right? Keep it flowing. Just keep it flowing. And I will let you know. Well, I guess you'll just know when I load the video. But what else? I think that's it. I better shut my mouth right now. I was going to touch on another topic, and that'll just carry me down another hole for a while. But I got to get moving, all right? So I will hopefully be back tomorrow.